Are you rethinking your purpose in life? Being centered in a strong spiritual connection is more important now than ever. Hi, I'm Bryn Blankinship, hypnotherapist, international instructor, and author. Each episode, along with Dr. Pat, I'll share my experiences with guiding spiritual regression clients into the afterlife and the soul lessons gained, prompting you to explore your own soul's journey and empowering you by shifting your perception of yourself and your place in this world. I want you to know that you're here by design, not by accident. You are not alone. You are loved. You are here on purpose, for a purpose. When you stand in your truth and fulfill your purpose, you support others in fulfilling theirs. If this intrigues you, stay tuned in as we explore. Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining me today on the Afterlife Teacher. I'm your host, Bryn Blankinship, hypnotherapist, past life regressionist, and today we're going to talk about freeing your hidden voice. And I have my guest, Lydia Hatton. Thank you for joining me.
Thank
Lydia
you.
is also a hypnotherapist and a past life regressionist. So we're going to talk about how to find those subconscious blocks and remove them so that you can free your voice, you can free limiting behaviors and move forward from that in a more empowered way. And we have the tools to do that as hypnotherapists to help our clients. So Lydia, thank you so much for joining us. I just want to give a brief overview of your background. Clinical hypnotherapist, hypnoregressionist, you've taken my courses. You're also a mindset coach. You are a Harvard MBA graduate. And you served in your career, you worked in executive roles at NBC, Media One, and you also like to climb mountains.
Well, let's just say that was a phase.
Physical mountains, what was it, 20,000 feet?
Yes, in Russia. I got up to 20,000 feet in Russia, and it was something. Getting down, was another thing in and of itself, but that was an incredible, incredible experience. I got a whole new view of the planet from 20,000 feet.
Awesome. And so what you're doing is helping your clients climb mental mountains and get to the other side, right?
Oh,
A
absolutely.
metaphor.
It is, I think, in terms of not only what we are working to free ourselves from, it can feel like something that might be such a steep climb, we might not want to even undertake it, which should not be the case once people have the opportunity to explore what hypnotherapy can offer them in terms of its speed and finding, root causes. And I think, certainly having these challenges in life have proven to me that I'm capable of the highest highs and the lowest lows. I mean, I think what brought me to hypnotherapy was truly a tough time in my life where I had been, let go from a company that lost its funding during COVID. And I was learning about hypnosis and hypnotherapy. I was very interested. I was an internal student. And I'm like, what is going on in my mind, relative to all the challenges that I've experienced in my life. And it got to the root cause of an issue that I had been experiencing ever since I was 3 around my voice and my self-worth. And when I came to realize that in the course of that first training, I spent nearly 3 weeks on the couch just crying because I was so upset when I had discovered the power that the subconscious mind has to hold us back. And within 3 sessions, I had been freed of a belief around my self-worth that began the path that completely changed the arc of my life. And when I had that realization, I said, there are so many other people that have to understand that. So that is why I continue to pursue this line of practice. And I am a freedom fighter, and I love taking out the blocks that keep people stuck.
Yes. Well, I wonder if you could share a little bit more about that experience so that maybe the audience could understand. You don't have to go into too much of your personal detail, but how that helped you to, find out that you had unconsciously chosen to hold back your authentic voice?
Sure. I am from a family of five brothers. And when I came onto the scene that appeared in my mind, when you're in a trance, things will come to you. I saw myself at the dining room table. I was 3 years old, and it was absolute bedlam. I got my mom on the left with my little brother in a high chair, my grandmother with a shot glass on top of her head, and my dad's at the end of the table drinking. And it was just wild. And all I wanted to do was sink beneath that table and hide. I really didn't even want to be there. And I think the challenges I experienced growing up in a family where there was just, ongoing, just let's call it chaos, but a lot of fun, got me into a situation where it was just safer not to speak. I would get humiliated. I would get made fun of. I, would just get lost in the sauce. My mother, in her own way, was really wanting to be like a boy and be tougher based on her own personal experience. And so I shut down. I shut down. I didn't speak much in class. And the way that concept of not feeling safe to use my voice also affected my self-worth. And that was the big aha. I had zero sense of self-worth based on that early programming set when I was a child. However, given the fact that I was being pushed and challenged, I was also, an achiever at the same time. And the way that belief that it wasn't safe to use my voice and that I had a very low sense of self-worth came forward later on in my life is even going to the Harvard Business School where 50% of your grades come from speaking in class. I was just like, I was terrified and absolutely terrified of speaking in class. I knew the answer, but I wouldn't talk. And then fast forward where I'm the only female in the boardroom and we've got all of these men and I've got the answers. I've done all the work and I'm trying to get the points out. And, we stutter. We're like, and then I kept going and I got into a very challenging health related period in my life where I had, undiagnosed autoimmune issues and I was finally diagnosed with thyroid cancer, very early stage.
All over
And
the road.
so on my throat, in the throat. So when I look at how that potential experience starting at the age of 3, which then had, additional moments that just compounded that belief that it wasn't safe to use my voice, how that experienced the arc of my life, the work, the relationships, the things I didn't say, the things I should have said, it really brought me to the realization that everybody needs to understand the programming of the subconscious mind and how those belief systems are running our lives and subconsciously driving the choices that we make. And it's very important to me that people understand that because I just know that we're at the foothills of a bigger expansion where the frontiers may be space, but I also believe they're the subconscious mind. People have the ability through hypnotherapy to free themselves so that they don't feel stuck. And your voice is your authentic self. It can affect your health. You can develop, being a people pleaser or a perfectionist, all because you're not expressing yourself fully. So I think, I want to start a revolution in the way that we think. So can you tell I feel pretty passionate about the issue. I don't want my children having to, redo some of these patterns when you don't have to anymore.
Sure. And, helping young women, helping other older women that are moving up the ranks, you know, talk to us about how this is translated into your hypnosis practice of helping
Sure.
women in the home as well as business to step into those roles.
Absolutely. So I can give an example of a case. I was working with the woman in Ohio, and she had taken early retirement. She was a superstar at school as a teacher and was not clear on her next steps. And she wanted to address some stuff that had been holding her back, she felt, but it was very early in her younger years. And she came to me because she wanted to feel more confident. She didn't feel confident about going out to look for her next engagement, and she really wasn't clear on what it was that she wanted to do. So we did 3 hypnotherapy sessions. And in the first one, we went back to some very challenging scenes when she was younger. And then on her second session, I said, do you still want to work on confidence? She's like, no, that was great. I want to work on this issue. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then in the third session, same thing. Do you want to work on confidence? No. I've got another thing I really want to work on. I'm like, all right, let's do it. So I followed up with her about 5 months later because I hadn't heard from her. And I'm like, hey, how is it going? Just curious, checking in. She's like, oh my God, I meant to tell you, I just got a brand new job at a salary much higher than she had originally targeted. And she said, and in my acceptance letter, they remarked on how confident I was. And I was just like, that is absolutely fantastic. And in another session that I was working with somebody who was struggling with wanting to leave a career that they had invested an enormous amount of time in. They were on the partner track, and they were, being solicited to really engage to become a full-time partner in this particular firm. And they just felt so torn. And so we started working, and it came down to issues around her original unhappiness around perfectionism. She, again, perfectionism is an archetype. But also in her family system, she had to be the perfect one to try and keep the peace in terms of a very tumultuous family situation, and was a super achiever. She was going after everything, but got to a point in time where she just was no longer happy. So we got not only through letting go the hooks around why she felt she needed to be so perfect, really helped focus herself on her own self-love and self-compassion and self-worth. And later, about 3 or 4 months later, she let the firm know that she was not going to pursue the partner track. She was much more interested in becoming a coach. And I had made her an audio recording to listen to that summer around what it is that she wanted. And 5 to 6 months later, everything she had wanted had come to pass. So not only are we freeing people from their limiting beliefs and the things that are keeping them stuck, we're able to repattern their mind. We're able to get them to where they want to go, to retrain the subconscious on what it needs to focus on. And that truly is the shift. When you think of an Olympic athlete, or you're thinking about a CEO, retraining the mind is such a powerful, powerful part of being able to be successful. And this protocol, both, in hypnotherapy, really opens the door to that. It really allows you to catapult forward in your career and in your life.
And it helps with burnout, because all those negative emotions that are keeping you locked into that negative pattern are really kind of holding you down.
Oh, it's exhausting. It is exhausting. And without being able to use your voice, you're not able to free your emotions. And as we know, emotions are energy in motion, and they're meant to move. And a lot of the people that I've worked with recognize the suppression of their emotion is tied to a lot of physical pain and physical ailments that they've had as well. And when we're releasing emotion, and, having learned from you, we always ask, where do you feel that in your body? And, people will grab their neck, they'll grab their head, they'll typically also grab their stomach. And so by the suppression of this emotion, it has really been exhausting, to your point. I just, I ask them, how long has it been that you've been holding this? They're like, 20 years.
It's so
Really, really?
surprising,
Yes,
right? Because consciously they may not be aware of where the issue started.
that's
But
right.
when we take them back through hypnosis, they're often surprised that that was the thing that happened that created this thread or this pattern that has continued through their whole life. And then they can look back on it. It's like once you step out of it, then you can see it, and all the fabric of it, and how connected it is to relationships and speaking out. And I myself, like, I got into hypnosis because I was a client. I went because of acting,
Right.
because I would know my stuff, but when I had to go audition, I would freak out. Like everything, like the nerves would kick in. I'd see myself outside my body. I would leave the room for a minute, like I'm standing in front of the person to audition, but I had left the body. And then I come out and I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I just say? What did
Yeah.
I do?
Yeah. Yeah. And that was very successful because you've been practicing for a long time and studying and leading and working in this field for over 20 years. So tell everybody where you ended up in one of your auditions.
Oh, well, I tell the story in class about how, I had that hypnosis session to get past any blocks in my career with auditioning and to get back past any blocks. I wanted to free the instrument. As an actor, your body is your instrument, your voice, your expressions. And so if you're deer in the headlights during the audition process, you are frozen. And so I went for this audition. I was out in LA and my agent sent me to this audition, but they didn't tell me who the director was. And I walk into the room all ready to do my thing, and I'm standing in front of Billy Crystal, the comedian. I didn't know he was a director. There he is in his khaki shorts with his tan legs, and then he's got the two suits. He's the creative with the suits, one on each side. They've got their little clipboard and they're making notes. And he's like, okay, Bryn, do your thing. So I did. And then he said, well, okay, let's do it this way. And let's try it that way. And so what happened was I went from this much emotional range to this much.
Yeah.
So I was in the room for what, 35 minutes. And then he said, okay, we'll let you know. And then I left. And I was so excited because I knew that was the moment that I got past that block. And then I got the part as a reporter in his movie, what was it, 61. But and a lot of my footage is on the cutting room floor. But again, that was a pivotal moment for me.
Mhm.
And so hypnosis did that for me. I never forgot. I had many powerful sessions with hypnosis that led me to pursue this as a practitioner and as an instructor because I wanted to teach others. When you get inspired by it, you want to show other people.
Yeah.
And so Lydia has created a program and it's called Catapult. Like each of us have our own niche because of our background, our experience, and what our purpose and our focus is with this work.
Yeah.
So if you want to share with us a little bit about Catapult, we'd love to know more.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Based on my experience working in business and understanding what it takes for women to be successful relative to both the perceived deficits and anything else they may be bringing to the table. I created a 6-month program called Catapult, which is really a self-belief boot camp where we will really focus in on somebody who wants to go to the next level. For example, if you're a manager and you want to be a director or you want to start your own company, having full belief in yourself will allow you the energy to keep moving. And what we do is we go in and we find out what's standing in the way. Because my experience, Bryn, was that, I don't care how smart you are, when you walk in to that first day at work, you are carrying all the beliefs that came with you from your childhood. And you can get to a certain point and all of a sudden the challenges will become extreme. The climb becomes much more steep. And your smarts aren't always going to be able to get you through, be it either politics, you've got to promote yourself, you need to take credit for your work, you need to network. These are all the things where women fall back in terms of why men will continually, as you get higher up in the corporate ladder, why men get more promotions. And it's not that women aren't just as gifted, just as smart, but there are these, programs and patterns from our childhood that come from family, that come from societal setup, et cetera, that can hold us back. And with the breakthroughs that I've seen, for people in all walks of life that being a hypnotherapist has been able to provide. I'm so excited. And there's some mindset coaching that goes on as we go through it. But also, not only are we releasing the past, we're programming the mind to focus on what it is that we want. And so, as you know, we take in 11 million bits of information every second, but our conscious mind will only focus on 50 to 60. We have to get the mind to focus, and we have to take the fear out that stands in the way, along with, any other emotional hooks around not feeling worthy, not feeling like they're enough, not feeling like they matter, anything that's carried from childhood. And so the only thing I want to say is that, most people will say, well, I'm pretty confident in work, but I've got this one issue. And it's not the current version of you that's holding the issue. It might be the 5-year-old version of you that's holding the issue. And we have to go back and find the 5-year-old to release the issue. Subconscious mind doesn't understand time. And so there are little versions of us all the way back to the very beginning that might be holding these limiting beliefs. And that's the power of being a hypnotherapist, is you can go back in time and remove what is in the way, heal people, and then really cut them loose, catapult them.
Exactly. And you can do this quickly. You
Mhm.
can do this in just a couple of sessions,
Right.
right? I mean, I mean, you've already mentioned this. What happens a lot of times is clients will come in for one thing, they
Mhm.
get transformation from that, and, they redirect those thoughts, and then they're like, oh, there's something else I'd like to work on. So
Mhm.
over a series of just a few sessions, you can really transform a lot of those old patterns,
Mhm. Mhm.
and then you just move forward and you feel freer.
Yeah.
You have a new mindset. Like I like to say, it's freeing the body, freeing the instrument, and really living in your divine self. So it is a spiritual transformation or a spiritual exploration, because
Mhm.
this is heart centered,
Yes.
but it's not woo woo,
No.
right?
No. No, it
It's
isn't.
and we're talking about there's current life regression and there's past life regression, and it
Mhm.
may involve past lives, but really, a lot of patterns start in current life.
That's right.
you know.
That's right. I'm picking them up. And I got to say, relative to your trainings, I am so glad your training absolutely put me on a much different path. It is so enriching. And my soul and my spirit completely expanded in ways I could not have expected. It really changed my life, and my ability to read into anyone's journey is completely different as a result. So, just a small, quick pitch. I know you're setting up your classes for this fall. I highly recommend you take a look at Bryn's trainings for the people that are
Um,
listening.
Thank you for that, Lydia. And it's such a pleasure to have you in class. And, this is what I love. Like, I left the creative field of acting, yet I am in touch with so many wonderful people from all backgrounds, and we're doing this creative work with our clients, helping them to create an empowered feeling as they step forward into that next role. And we work with men and women,
Mhm.
but women, there's a soft place in our heart for women because we are women. We've been through some of those experiences, so we can relate, you know.
Absolutely. And it came to me this morning that, working with the subconscious mind is like the Freedom of Information Act for the spirit. It's all in there. You just need to know where to look.
Yeah. And what we're really doing is dehypnotizing.
Yeah.
You've been hypnotized by the negative belief, and we're
Mhm.
dehypnotizing that. And we're not
Absolutely.
erasing a memory. It's not like that. But when you go back and revisit it, you can see it in a
Mhm.
new way.
Mhm.
And when you see it in the new way, that unties all the knots,
That's
keeping
right.
you tied to it.
Yep.
And then you can move forward to now and
Mhm.
be free of it, and just stand taller and feel better and not have knots in your stomach, or knots in your throat,. Or whatever it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a game changer for everyone. I mean, when people are done with a session, they kind of sit up and they are like, I had no idea. I had no idea. And it can often go back to something that they would consciously not even relate it to. So we're very open and in a semi-hypnotic state from the ages of 0 to 7. We know that. And that's typically where we end up going first. But there's so much great work that this protocol offers people to really live the lives that they truly want. It's
Yeah.
exciting.
And I started as a client, then I became a practitioner,
Mm-hmm.
Then I became an instructor. So I enjoy that process of teaching others how to do this work because
Mm-hmm.
that just lights me up all over again. So Lydia, how can people reach you?
Oh, thank you. They can reach me, Lydia at lydiahatton.com. And I am also on Instagram at Lydia Hatton MBA, and Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube. I have a number of videos on my YouTube, 15-minute brain basics if you really want to understand a lot more about your brain and that sort of stuff on YouTube. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today, Bryn.
Oh, Lydia,
I'm a
thank you
big
so
fan.
much. Well, I'm a fan of yours too. Thank you so much for being on the show. And I'm Bryn Blankinship, the Afterlife teacher, and you can reach me at brynblankinship.com. You can also follow me on social media, Facebook and Instagram at Bryn Blankinship author, and it's Bryn with a Y, Blankinship with an I. And thank you so much. We're here to talk about finding and following your purpose and your passion and living a fuller life by releasing limiting beliefs.
Absolutely. Wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you, Bryn.
thank you.
You've been listening to Afterlife Teacher, Soul Lessons bringing you full circle with Bryn Blankinship and Dr. Pat. Tune into Transformation Talk Radio for more discussions of the soul's journey across different lifetimes and soul lessons gained, helping you to consider the deeper reason you are here. Bryn shares her wisdom spanning 20 years of guiding spiritual regression clients into the afterlife and connecting them with their spiritual team and soul's purpose to bring them full circle, helping you gain insight into your own soul's purpose while supporting others in fulfilling theirs. Living in partnership with your soul, with less worry and greater trust, you can be in divine flow and thrive. For more information on becoming a certified hypnotherapist and regressionist and assisting with the global transformation taking place, visit brynblankinship.com.